And Justice Squad, great attorney Jeff Gold. All right, Jeff, the inmates, and some pretty damning stuff. You talk about MacNeil referring to his wife as the B word, and with inmate number 1, who's going to be the final inmate, basically laying out the prosecution's theory. He drugged her and drowned her. What do you think of all that?
Well, I do think that the testimony itself is very damning, but for the state to put inmates' testimony on as their final, hurrah, goes to show the weakness of the state's case, I have to say, because, inmate testimony is a double-edged sword. All right, they might have been in a position to get these admissions from the defendant, but on the other hand, they're going to be cross-examined about their own crimes, their own offenses. You heard some argument before about what kinds of things can be used to cross-examine them, what kind of prior convictions can be used. So it's a double-edged sword. It is good. It's what the state needs to do to link up the circumstantial evidence and pin it on the doctor. But at the same time, there's fodder for cross-examination. Yeah. And will a jury use the testimony of convicted felons as the linchpin to convict the doctor? We don't know. It is a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it really is. And you talked about the weakness. Is the strength in bringing the inmates out that you have more than one with a similar theme, whether it be derogatory names about Michelle, or that, he also says to a couple of different ones, they can't prove this?
Well, it's the story of "this is how I did it" that will be the most damaging, the most important testimony, and I think that's going to be first up. And then the other ones kind of go with it. The B word doesn't really do that much. It's one more piece of the puzzle to not like the guy, but a lot of guys who may have cheated on their wives might think that their wife's the B word. But how I did this, how I got away with it, those are everything to the state. There was that other piece of information that he told the prior mistress, I could inject somebody with potassium and, they could have a heart attack and nobody would know it. And you put it together with this testimony and you have the state's theory. They need this testimony. That's why they're doing it at the end. But again, putting an inmate in as the final thing a jury, has to decide a case is very difficult. So it shows the weakness.
If you're the defense attorney, are you relishing this chance to take apart some inmate?
Yes, you're not relishing the fact that there is an admission, but whenever I look at a witness, I'm saying, well, what can I ask him? What can I cross-examine him on? I take a piece of paper, I make some points out. Many witnesses, there's not much you're going to say. Some it's about what they could perceive, where they were when they heard it. These fellas, you're going to say, you had a motive to lie, plus, by the way, you've been convicted of lying before, or theft, or whatever else, and you've got plenty to work with. So I guess relish is a good word, Mike, that, the defense attorneys love to have stuff to say on cross-examination.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to watch it, Jeff. Great job setting up that testimony. Inmates on the way, but right now, let's get you back into court. Again on the stand, one-man Justice Squad. Great criminal defense attorney, Jeff Gold. All right, Jeff, before we get to the inmates, that was a pretty good little back and forth at the end there, where the prosecutor gets the hypothetical about could someone, basically be calling and not really giving CPR, giving breaths, chest not rising. If someone tossed the drugs and then told somebody else, oh, the police took them, all would be very suspicious, right?
Yeah, but, Mike, it points out the weakness in the state's case. Sure, anybody calling on 911 could be lying. They could be, the sound effects guy from Warner Brothers, cartoons. Anything can happen, But the whole idea of them grasping for these kind of straws, yes, of course, it could have been pretend. I don't know. What we're waiting for is those snitches' testimony, those jailhouse snitches, because that is what the state really needs. They need to get the words out of the doctor's mouth that he did this thing.
Yeah. So is it not adding up for you, this circumstantial case?
There is quite a lot of circumstantial evidence. I don't think it's a mountain of circumstantial evidence, as Nancy Grace's producer put it. I don't think it's a mountain, but there is quite a bit of circumstantial evidence that would lead a reasonable juror to say, you know what, I think he did it. Now, what the state needs to do is prove it up and connect the dots and do that with his own statement. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. All well and good, but I don't think today that it's as clear as it snowed at night, even though I didn't watch it snow. There's a lot of stuff, but not quite as clear as that yet.
All right. Will the inmates clear it up? Inmate number 3 on the stand when we come back. What will he have to say? Stay with us. Criminal defense attorney Jeff Gold, he's the one who predicted that and joins us now. Jeff, okay, who's making out better here? Prosecution, you get out, hey, MacNeil called Michelle a bee of a wife, and blanking daughters and all that, but now we're, basically inmate number 3 is under attack right now. Who's winning here?
When the defense attorney got up and you saw that little smirk on his face, I knew what was coming. He had pages of stuff to cross-examine this witness on, and most importantly, that this witness had in a prior case made up a story to give information to a prosecutor about somebody else that was false so he could help himself. This is a big zero for the state. I can't even imagine why they put this guy up. He is nothing. Not only did he not say on cross-examination some of the things he said earlier and how to be, rehabilitated on it, but then he tells this story that says he's a liar. Forget it. No juror is going to put somebody away for life or worse in any state based on this guy's word. I don't know why the state put him up.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting. Even when he told the story and basically asked MacNeil, did you kill your wife? And MacNeil says, right. No, man, no. I mean, he follows up with, okay, they didn't have enough evidence, but you got to think that's a wash at best, even that little interplay, right? That's
just on the direct, and then the cross-examination brings up he's made out a story to wrongfully convict somebody in the past to help himself. This is nothing. It hurts the state that it shows how weak they are.
So what do you do if you're the state? Get this guy off as fast as possible?
Yeah,
get on to the next inmate?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing they can do now. His direct has been up. He's been cross-examined. I don't know what kind of rehab they can do on redirect, but they need to get to the witness, and hopefully the one inmate who says that the doctor explained how he did the murder will be a better witness. That's all they can hope for. But really, it points out the weakness in the state's case, how they have to put up every stick, even if it's a bad stick, just in hopes some part of it will stick with the jury. But I can't imagine any juror in their right mind using this testimony knowing he's lied in the past about a guy to get a benefit for himself.
All right. And again, to Jeff's point, in all we expect to hear anyway, from 5 either inmates or former inmates. Will they be stronger than this one with less credibility issues? Some of Jeff's points there. We'll have much more after a break as inmate 3 is under attack in cross-examination. More of that coming up. Stabbed, raped, isolated, things like that. All right, a lot to take in here. Let's go back to Jeff Gold. Jeff, your comments on this. You've sticking by what you said. Inmate number 3 is a 0 for the state.
Yeah, I really think so. I mean, he's got a 27-year sentence. He's halfway into it. He is the one who calls the prosecutor. He's had a prior dealing where he's tried to dime someone out before and has admittedly lied in that case to wrongfully convict somebody. And now he gets up there, rehabilitated slightly on redirect, where the prosecutor says, look, your life is in danger or whatever. Look, going nowhere. If you're a juror, would you put the nail in somebody's coffin based on an admitted liar, convicted felon? Not happening, Mike.
Yeah. And why would the prosecutor here, real quick, Jeff, continue on with this snitch line?
Why, when you're falling off a cliff, will you grab for a straw? I mean, they're grasping right now. They're grabbing at anything they can. They're putting everything up there. Maybe the witness was better in preparation. Maybe, but still, they knew that he'd have a prior case that could be used to impeach him. They're stretching.
All right. Jeff, good work as always. More inmates to come, by the way, and we'll